What if I told you there's a hidden code behind everything you call reality? Time, energy, matter, none of it is random. There's an invisible matrix, a perfect pattern, and it has 4 parts, 4 forces, 4 portals, 4 keys that shape what you live, feel, and attract. The ancients knew. Thoth left it written. Whoever activates the Quaternary Code changes the structure of their own existence, and now this code is awakening within you. Who knows the elements, knows the language of creation. What if everything you know was just the surface? What if behind matter, time, and even your own mind, there was a language older than any writing, more precise than any science, more powerful than any technology? That language is the code of 4, and it's not symbolic, it's alive. Since the Emerald Tablets attributed to Thoth, the Atlantean master, initiates were warned. Everything in the universe pulses in mirrors. As it is within, so it is without. As it is above, so it is below. This isn't a spiritual metaphor. It's cosmic engineering, and at the center of this engineering is the number 4. 4 directions, 4 elements, 4 bodies, 4 phases, 4 keys, not 5, not 7, not 12, 4. That's the number of primordial order. True alchemy doesn't just happen in the transmutation of metals, but in the transmutation of consciousness. It's not about turning lead into gold, but about turning density into light, ignorance into vision, separation into unity. The true gold is within, and the path to it is the sacred quaternary. It's the backbone of the universe, the matrix through which everything manifests, the cross that unites worlds, the temple that exists both in the body and in the sky. You've seen this code. It's everywhere. Earth's seasons aren't just climate variations, they're soul transition portals. Winter, spring, summer, autumn. Each with its frequency, its language, its teaching. The 4 winds aren't just air currents, they're currents of consciousness. North, south, east, and west are much more than geographic points. They're paths of spiritual activation. The moon, with its 4 phases, regulates not just the tides, but also your blood, your dreams, your inner tides, and human life follows the same rhythm. Childhood, youth, adulthood, old age. Nothing follows a straight line. Everything spirals, everything returns to the center, and every return is deeper, more awake, more whole. This perfect pattern is the true alchemical portal of reality. It's the code that turns the invisible into matter, that unites spirit and form, that teaches time to bend, energy to move, reality to respond. The ancients knew this. Egyptian masters, Babylonian priests, Toltec guardians. They all built temples based on the 4 pillars of being. Because they knew whoever masters the quaternary masters their own field of manifestation. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, left this secret recorded in eternal records. He said the key isn't in memorized formulas, but in the living reading of cosmic harmony. The same pattern that rules the planets rules your blood. The same order that moves lunar cycles moves your breath. What seems external is just the reflection of what pulses within you. But this knowledge was silenced, ridiculed, forgotten. Modernity fragmented human perception, divided body from soul, broke the bridge between intuition and logic, rationalized everything, so the code was buried. We collectively entered the Nigredo phase, the first stage of the great work, the dark stage, the night of the soul, where everything seems to collapse, where the old must die so something new can be born, and even so, the code never disappeared. It keeps breathing in the pulse of your heart, in the spiral of your DNA, in the invisible dance of the energy field around you. It lives in the coincidences you can't explain, in the cycles that repeat, in the intuitions that arrive without warning. It lives in the silence you avoid, but where all answers lie. When you begin to purify the filters of perception, albedo begins. The clarity phase, the cleansing of the veils. You start to realize everything is pattern, rhythm, living intelligence. In Citrinitas, the inner light ignites. Solar consciousness awakens. The pattern is no longer an idea. It's something that vibrates inside you. And in Rubedo, the final integration happens. There's no longer separation between being and cosmos. The code becomes flesh. The temple rises within you. You are not separate from the order of the universe. You are its very expression. And if you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to cross the veil. Because the code isn't out there. It's within. And now, it's awakening. The four elements, architecture of body and soul. You were programmed to believe your body is just flesh, bone, and a brain trying to survive. But that's a lie. Your body is a temple, and like every sacred temple, it has a hidden architecture. 4 invisible pillars support everything you feel, think, and vibrate. And those pillars are the elements. Earth is your foundation, the structure that holds you up. It's not just in the ground beneath your feet, but in the strength of your spine, the stability of your presence, the silence of your center. If you feel lost, directionless, like the ground has disappeared beneath you, it's because the earth within you is weak. And when earth fails, everything collapses. Water is your emotional field. No matter how hard you try to hide it, it always reveals the truth. The tear that falls, the goosebumps that rise, the lump that forms in your throat, that's your water showing up. It holds memories you don't even remember, traumas you try to bury, feelings you never wanted to face, but running from water only drowns you more. It's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to cleanse you. Fire is your mind in action, not what you think, but what you decide. It's the impulse to transform, to create, to do. It's the enough that snaps you out of paralysis. But be careful, if you don't learn how to control this fire, it'll consume you. Anxiety, anger, the need to control, that's fire out of balance. The same fire that lights up your vision can burn everything down if it's unchecked. And air is everything you can't see but you feel. It's the whisper of your intuition, the breath that calms you without you even knowing why. It's the idea that pops into your head out of nowhere, the chill that warns you before something happens. When air is flowing, you feel light, present, connected. When it's blocked, you feel suffocated, trapped inside your own mind. These 4 elements are at work all the time. You don't notice because you've been taught to call it mood, stress, tiredness, weird feeling. But the truth is, when one of them is off, everything inside you reacts. There's no such thing as imbalance for no reason. Your body screams what your soul has been whispering for years, and now you understand why nothing changes just with positive thinking. Because your mind is only one part of the system. If earth isn't solid, fire goes out. If water is stuck, air can't flow. This isn't poetry. It's spiritual technology. It's vibrational engineering. You're made of layers: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And each of these layers is shaped by the element that governs it. There's no single you. There are 4 versions of you trying to align. When one fails, they all feel it. When they all come together, something magical happens. You enter coherence, and it's in that state that you manifest. Not with force, not with struggle, but with presence. Because creation doesn't happen when you want something really badly. It happens when everything inside you vibrates at the same frequency. When the 4 elements work together, you don't try, you are. DNA, the alchemical language of the cosmos. And when those 4 elements align within you, something deeper starts to reveal itself. It's not just a feeling of balance. It's like a hidden part of your nature begins to awaken. Like an ancient code starts moving silently inside you, right at the center of who you are. And that code has a name: DNA. You might think DNA is just a biological structure, a sequence of letters that determines eye color, height, genetic tendencies. Well, that's only the surface layer. What no one told you is that DNA is a language, an alchemical language, a living geometry that speaks the language of creation. Inside every cell in your body, there's a sacred writing made of 4 letters: adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. 4, always 4. The same 4 that echo the elements: earth, water, fire, air. But now in molecular form. That's not a coincidence. That's a signature. The mark of the universal code embedded in the very architecture of life. DNA isn't just there to keep your body running. It's a bridge. a portal between the visible and the invisible. It hears everything. It responds to light, to sound, to emotion, to intention. It shapes itself according to the vibrational environment you create. That's why thoughts heal. That's why love regenerates. That's why trauma crystallizes in the body. Your DNA is listening to it all. Thoth taught this in the mysteries of Egypt, not as a metaphor, but as spiritual science. He said the body is a temple and the temple has codes, that the word creates form, that sound is structure, that symbols are frequencies. The hieroglyphs, the proportions of the pyramids, the math of the temples all followed the same logic. To activate the memory of the divine through form, and what modern science is just beginning to discover now, the initiates knew thousands of years ago. That DNA isn't a fixed program, but a dynamic field, that it can be activated, rewritten, recalibrated, not with needles, not with medicine, but with vibration. Because what moves DNA isn't matter, it's the subtle field around it. When you speak, your DNA listens. When you feel, it responds. When you believe, it shifts. Your body reflects the pattern you hold in your field. And that's why awakening isn't just mental. It's biological. It's cellular. It's vibrational. True transmutation begins when you stop seeing your body as a machine and start seeing it as an altar. DNA is not a genetic code. It's spiritual language condensed into matter. A living manuscript written with the four forces of nature, connecting you to the cosmos, to time, to the field of creation. The four centers and the four stages of the great work. You've probably heard of chakras, maybe in a book, in a conversation, in a guided meditation. They're not just esoteric concepts, they're power centers, meeting points between the physical body and the subtle bodies, like stations that receive and distribute energy throughout your entire field. There are 7 main chakras, each with its own function, its color, its sound, its element. But within that complete system, there are 4 primary centers, 4 engines that align with the 4 elements, with the 4 bodies, with the 4 paths of creation. They're like the axes that support your actual manifestation. When they're activated and in coherence, you feel like you're exactly where you need to be, doing what needs to be done, effortlessly, without friction. But when they're blocked or disconnected from each other, everything feels stuck. Reality doesn't respond. Your body feels heavy. Intuition glitches. The first is the root center, base of the spine, connected to earth. It governs your connection to the physical world, your structure, your sense of safety, presence, grounding. Without it, you feel in danger, even if everything around you seems calm. The second is the heart center, connected to water, the field of feeling, surrender, exchange. It's the magnetic field that attracts people, opportunities, answers. If it closes, you freeze emotionally. You end up repeating the same relationship cycles over and over. The third is the vision center, the third eye, fire. It's not about seeing the world as it is, but as it could be. It's the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the seat of intuition that guides without explaining. When this center dims, you're walking in the dark. The fourth is the crown, air, the center of connection with what's beyond you. This is where you remember you're not separate from the whole. This is where the body meets the soul. When this center is closed, you feel empty, disconnected, alone, even in a crowd. These 4 centers are vibrating all the time. But when you start to recognize them, something shifts. You start to notice that your external reality is directly tied to their state, because they are the gears of the code of 4. And this is where the ancient wisdom of alchemy weaves into the energetic structure of the body, because the path of transformation doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds in stages. The alchemists called this process the great work, a cycle that isn't just symbolic, it's real, cellular, vibrational. The journey begins with nigredo, the darkness, when you feel like everything is falling apart. Old fears rise, structures collapse. This is where the root is tested. It has to hold you even through the breakdown. Next comes albedo, the clarification, the purification of excess. Emotions rise to the surface. Old wounds beg for attention. This is where the heart takes over. It needs to allow the flow. Let the old go. Then comes Citronitas, golden awareness, the awakening of clarity. It's when you start to see through the eyes of the soul. It's the third eye lighting up, the spark of real understanding. Finally, Rubedo, the union, the crowning. It's when everything aligns. Body, soul, mind, and spirit vibrating as one frequency. It's the moment the crown opens and you remember, not intellectually, but energetically. You feel that everything is connected, and this story speaks exactly to what we've seen so far. Pay attention. A seeker spent years trying to change their life. They read books, took courses, visualized. But nothing changed until one night, in a dream, they walked into a temple with 4 pillars. On each pillar, a flame, but none were lit. They tried touching, pushing, running. Nothing worked. Then a voice said, "Stop trying to change the fire. Change what feeds the fire." They sat down in front of the first pillar and started to breathe deeply, feeling their feet on the ground. The root flame lit up. Then they placed a hand over their chest and allowed themselves to feel everything. They cried. They smiled. They went quiet. The heart flame lit up. They closed their eyes and asked for clarity, not in a rush, but with truth. The third flame lit up on their forehead. Finally, they looked upward and let go. No need to control, no need to understand. And then the final flame lit up at the top of their head. When they opened their eyes, the temple wasn't outside anymore. It was them. And as you can feel now, the number 4 connects everything. All stories, all cultures, all ancient schools of wisdom. From Egypt to the Vedas, from the Andes to the Emerald Tablets, they all speak the same language. Each with its own way of seeing, with its own symbols, its mythology, but in the end, the meaning is the same. 4 elements, 4 centers, 4 stages, one single path, and it's always been inside you. The 4 brains, portals of the multidimensional mind. And when you start to realize that everything is interconnected by the same code, that the 4 inner centers align with the 4 stages of alchemy and with the 4 elements of creation, something even deeper begins to reveal itself. Because it's not just the body that vibrates in this geometry. Time also follows the same pattern. And maybe the biggest trap we were taught was believing that time is a straight line, a path from point A to point B. But time was never that. Time is a field. The past isn't behind you, it's within you. Every memory, every repeated thought, every unresolved emotion doesn't live as a memory. It lives as a frequency. You don't remember the past, you broadcast it. The present isn't just the now either. It's the control center. It's here, in this exact moment, that all lines cross. The present is a throne, and whoever sits on that throne with awareness starts to see the rules change. The future isn't a destination you reach. It's a frequency. It already exists in multiple versions, and you align with one of them according to your current vibration. You don't walk toward the future. You vibrate into it. Every thought, every feeling, every choice is a password that connects you to a path that's already laid out. And then there's the most mysterious kind of time, the timeless. This one can't be measured. It doesn't pass, doesn't run out. It's the absolute now. It's the God point. The state of presence so deep that all timelines collapse, where you feel everything happening all at once. The past dissolves, the future doesn't matter, and the present expands like it's eternal. This was the time of the initiates, the ones who went beyond calendars and accessed vibrational eternity. They didn't see time on a clock, they saw time as a portal. And now that you understand time as a field, you need to understand that your mind also works through portals, because the way you perceive time depends on the brainwave frequency you're in. And here comes the code of 4 once again. Your brain doesn't function in just one state. It switches between 4 main frequencies: beta, alpha, theta, delta, 4 doors, 4 layers of consciousness, 4 ways of experiencing reality. each one activating a different dimension of your being. The beta state is the most common. It's where most people live all the time. It's the waking state, the fast thinking, the worry, the doing. Here you're alert, but also reactive. This is where autopilot lives. This is where it's easy to be manipulated, because everything feels urgent, everything seems important. The alpha frequency is the first portal inward. You're still conscious, but you start to feel more. It's the state of flow, of creativity, of light intuition. When you're walking in silence, listening to deep music, contemplating nature, this is where you are. And in this state, the mind starts to open space for the vibrational field. Theta goes deeper. This is where thoughts slow down, where the conscious mind begins to quiet. This is the state of visions, lucid dreams, spontaneous healing, memories that don't come from books but from the soul. It's where the unconscious reveals itself, where the veils grow thin. And finally, Delta, the most mysterious of them all, the slowest, the deepest. This is where the body sleeps but the spirit awakens. It's the space where separation disappears, where messages are received without words, where healing happens without touch, where you dissolve and at the same time find yourself. Many enter this state during deep sleep. Few learn to access it fully awake. These four brain states are the real portals of the multidimensional mind. They're not just physiological processes, they're states of perception, and each one connects you to a layer of reality. When you learn to navigate between them, you begin to break free from the mental prison. The mind stops being a cage. It becomes a path. And once again, the number 4 shows up. 4 frequencies, 4 bodies, 4 timelines, 4 centers. As you can see, the number 4 connects everything. It doesn't matter if you look inside or outside. If you dive into science or spirituality, all stories, all cultures, all ancient wisdoms speak the same language. Each one with its own way of seeing, but in the end, they hold the same meaning. The universe is a code, and it speaks in 4s. The 4 key codes. The alchemical portal opens. And when you start to navigate through the states of mind and feel time not as a straight line, but as a field pulsing around you, you realize that consciousness isn't contained in just one place. It vibrates across multiple layers at the same time. This is when you start to remember that you are not just a body, not just a mind, not a spirit floating alone in the void. You are the living intersection of 4 dimensions of yourself. You are a mandala in motion. There's the physical body, which feels the world through your feet, your skin, your bones. It anchors you into the experience. It's matter responding to the invisible. Then comes the emotional body, which feels the world through your inner waters, carrying memories, traumas, joys, flows you often don't understand but that guide your moves. There's also the mental body, the field that thinks, interprets, plans, weaves stories, and finally, the spiritual body, which doesn't need words because it already knows. It doesn't explain, it vibrates. These 4 bodies don't work separately. They communicate all the time, even if you don't notice. When you feel tightness in your chest, it's not just your physical body, it's your emotional body speaking. When your mind freezes, your spirit has stepped back. When the spirit dims, the body gets sick. Everything is connected, and when all 4 align, you return to the center. Not the center of the world, the center of yourself. It's when you stop searching outward, because you understand it's all already inside. This is the return, not to the past, but to the lost unity. This is where separation ends. The I that believed it was alone begins to dissolve, and a new I starts to emerge. Not the one that reacts, but the one that vibrates. Not the one that searches, but the one that knows. You are not part of the code. You are the code manifested in human form, a mirror of the universe with legs and a voice. And when that state starts to vibrate in you, a field opens up. You feel like something needs to be activated, like the map is right there, but it's missing a spark to light up the system. This is the moment of activation, the exact point where the pieces click and the veils begin to fall. 4 codes, 4 forgotten truths. They're not ideas, they're living commands. First, time. You start to feel that time doesn't control you anymore, that it's not time that runs. It's you who moves within it. You realize it's possible to access the future through vibration and reframe the past through the present. Time is generated by you. Next, attention. You understand that what you observe begins to take shape, that reality responds to focus, that where your energy goes, form manifests. Chaos enters where attention slips, and creation begins where attention stays. Attention is the creator of form. The third code reveals the biggest secret. You don't live in the universe lives in you. All external reality is an exact mirror of your inner configuration. Change within, and the outside obeys. The universe is inside you, and the last code breaks the prison. The system doesn't need to control you. It only needs you to obey, for you to believe in the rules, for you to fear the consequences. But when you withdraw your consent, the system collapses. The system only holds you if you obey. These 4 keys aren't new. They were in the myths, in the symbols, in the unpublished gospels, in the Hermetic teachings hidden beneath layers of coded language. But now they return, not as doctrine, but as memory. They are frequencies that were dormant, waiting for you to remember. And when you activate these keys, it's not the world that changes. It's your perception of the world that transforms. And that changes everything, because when the 4 bodies align, the 4 centers vibrate together. When the 4 times collapse into the now and the 4 states of mind become accessible, a new state of consciousness is born. And that state isn't something you reach, it's something you reveal. The veil tears, the portal opens, but not as a faraway place. The portal isn't in another realm, another galaxy, another sacred temple. The portal is you. It always has been. It opens the moment you start vibrating in coherence with what is eternal. You don't cross the portal, you activate it from within. And when that happens, reality begins to mirror the language of the soul. You no longer ask what to do. You feel what to be. You no longer wait for the sign. You become the sign. You no longer beg for miracles. You start to live in them, because the code is alive. And now it's pulsing in you. And before you go, a special video has been set aside just for you. It dives even deeper into everything that's been revealed here and might be exactly what your soul is ready to hear right now. So don't leave just yet. Click the video that's showing up on your screen, and I'll meet you there.